Can a truck driver be a high value man?
High value.
According to the Canvas Samuel's Red Pill community, a high value man, 6 things that that measure a high value man in the Red Pill community. Not to say that you absolutely need these things to be a high value man.
Now, are we talking about in a relationship, or are we talking about in a working environment, or are we talking about...
This is more so in a relationship, or like, I guess a high value man is to what will attract the most women, you know. And so when I say can a truck driver be a high value man, the categories are you know, there's the 6 sixes, you know, 6-pack, 6-figure income, 600 horsepower car, 6 months removed from your last relationship, 6 feet tall, and 6 inches below the belt. Those are kind of like that's saying if you meet that criteria, you are a high value man in the sense that, like, you know, you can just about get anyone. Not to say that not all women are just looking for that and everything, but if you got this guy, you match him up with another guy and they pretty much have all the same things, but the one guy has more of those, you know, meets the criteria, those things, those high value categories, he's going to be the one that's going to come out on top as far as like with women more so than the other guy. Okay. Most women don't really, I would say most women don't care about what kind of car you drive, but if they do, that just kind of opens up your, I guess, your options even that much more, you know what I'm saying, if you are with a woman who cares about what kind of car you drive. Let's break that down. All right. 6-figure income. Let's start out with that one. 6-figure income. Okay. Can a truck driver meet that criteria?
Can a truck driver meet that criteria?
Because we're talking about, can a truck driver be a high value man based on these 6 criteria? So the person will be,
if I am going to take what I would have to call the average truck driver salary, I would have to say no. Because the average truck driver is not making $100,000 a year.
Right.
I mean, when you go and base out the 2.5, 3 million truck drivers that are technically a theoretically out your drive.
Right. I think it's between $55,000 and $65,000 a year is about average across the board, no matter owner operator, company driver, you got your own authority, whatever.
Owner operator right now, I guess with these freight rates like they are, owner operators are faring, I think, a whole lot better. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, but how you know, like I said, it's not. I mean, you know, it's not how much you make, it's about how much you keep. But yeah, absolutely, you got that. That includes those guys that are only making $30,000, $35,000 a year, maybe because they're not running a business right, or maybe because they decided to be home a lot. And then you have the guys that are making, you know, like I said, $90,000, $100,000 plus after all their expenses and everything, because the freight rates are so great right now. You know, I mean, you can roll out of bed and make money in trucking right now. The average truck driver probably would not meet that criteria for a high value man in the income category, but there are some who can. But the average, you asked about the average.
No, I said can. Yeah. I said, can a truck driver be a high value man? I didn't say anything about the average. I just said, can a truck driver be a high value man? And so the average one, no, but they can.
Yes.
And I think what they consider, one of the things they can also take consideration is, you know, how many years did you make over $100,000 a year? You know, I think after you've done it for 3 or 4 years consecutively, then they consider you, you know, you're a high value man in that category. You've done it 3 or 4 or 5 years in a row. Doing it 1 year in a row, it's like, okay, you know, you just got a lucky year or whatever, but can you do it consecutively?
Twice a day, a broken clock is right.
Right. All right, well, this is the next easiest one, but we break down with the
6-pack.
6-pack. That's probably where a lot of truck drivers are gonna be disqualified right there. Not all. I've seen a lot of truck drivers that are in pretty good shape, but yeah, 6-pack. Based on that, 6-pack.
That's a no.
That's a no.
I mean, again, I have to go with the average. I'm not gonna. Obviously, everything you've got some people that excel.
That excel, right? Absolutely.
You know, I mean, I steer the truck with the stomach sticking out up against the steering wheel. You know, it looks like it takes them a half an hour to get out the truck.
All right, so let's see. So we got, what's next? 6 months removed for the last relationship. That's funny because that's one of those questions women ask you a lot of times when you first meet them, like, you know, when was the last relationship? And women tend to use language as a tool, whereas men use it as a way to communicate. They're using everything you ask them, everything they ask you as a tool to judge your character. But yeah, 6 months removed from the last relationship.
Well, I guess 6 months removed from the last relationship means that you're over that relationship and you're not, and she's not.
You're not going back and forth.
Well, even without going back and forth, you're not as much considered. She's not as much considered a rebound at this point.
Right.
You know, oh, you 2 months out. Oh, you're just looking for, you know, as Mom Baby said, the best thing you to get over a man is get over a man is get under another. You know.
Well, I think the biggest thing is I think they're just trying to make sure that, you know, the previous relationship is no longer a threat. And it's funny. This is questions women ask, and they don't even know why they're asking themselves. It just comes natural to them to ask this question: "What was your last relationship?" And I think also they want to see if you're the type of guy who likes to commit, or if you're just kind of just out here playing the field, you know. And you're like, "Oh, I ain't been in a relationship in 4 or 5 years. I just kind of like to date," and that's probably gonna disqualify you, you know, whatever. But if you're like, "Oh, I just got a relationship last week," that's probably gonna disqualify you also. That's why that kind of like 6 months removed from the last relationship is kind of like that, you know. That kind of good time frame. And I don't know, truck drivers, I mean, it's hard to be in relationships, you know, and I don't know how many relationships truck drivers have, and they're removed from 6 months and all that good stuff, but, you know, I guess you could meet that criteria, you know, especially if you're out here on the road a lot. It takes a special kind of woman to deal with someone who's gone a lot, you know. So how did you deal with being gone a lot and being in a relationship? I mean, I know you tended to go home a lot, but I mean, there was those times where you said you were on the road for about a month or so.
Ooh, I spent 2 months one time.
2 months on the road?
I don't know how I pulled that one off. Matter of fact, that was funny because I was just joking about, oh, I'll see you around Thanksgiving or something. And it was 2 months later when I came home too. I was like, wow. I made, for the most part, I made Shay a priority when I was at home. You know, I made my time at home, you know, made them that priority.
Okay.
You know.
So all right, so 6-pack probably not too much. A lot of guys, I mean, it's hard to stay in shape on the road. You can do it, you know, but it definitely takes very disciplined and extra. It takes more work to stay in shape on the road than it does just your average human being driving, you know, that goes home every night.
You don't have that routine.
Right, absolutely. And then on top of that, I mean, you're literally sitting in the seat for 8, 9, 10, 11 hours a day, and you're not burning that, you know, the average human being burns so many calories a day just by being a human being.
Normal activities.
Right. All right, so what we covered so far: abs and six-figure income. Let's say 6 feet tall. I mean, obviously, you know, pretty sure there's no statistics on how the average height of a truck driver is, but I mean, I think the average height of a man is probably like somewhere around 5'9" or 5'10".
So now so when we talk about 6 feet, we're already talking about a normally over average height.
Absolutely.
But there again, we're talking about a man that's 6 feet. He's going to tend to stand out from the average man.
I mean, and it actually makes a big difference. I mean, you know, you take guys.
Well, you see him. Right. He stands out in the crowd.
Well, I mean, even if that, you know, I'm 5'11", guy was 6 feet tall. That said, we have all the same attributes and college and everything.
Yeah, Roger is taller than you and I know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
6'1".
Yeah, Roger's pretty tall.
Yeah, like, where you get your height from, boy?
Well, he's taller than 6'1". I mean, how tall was Grandpa Hank?
I'd say he was about.
I think he was a little bit taller than that. I feel like he might be. So 600 horsepower car. That's the next thing. Most people don't have 600 horsepower cars. Very few people have 600 horsepower cars. Again, like I said, if you fall into that 10% of that category of a guy who has a 600 horsepower car, you know, most women will say they don't care about that. But like I said, again, if you take a guy, let's say those 6 values, and he has all those things, but the one guy has a 600 horsepower car, he's going to have the edge over the guy who doesn't. Now, 600 horsepower car, we talk about supercars, Lamborghinis, Ferraris, I don't know, maybe certain Mercedes or whatever that can, you know, that had that much horsepower. And I think that's kind of a 600 horsepower car may not really be okay if you have a 600 horsepower car, but just kind of, do you have an expensive car?
You have a car that the normal average person would not own.
Absolutely, you know.
And so now you're standing out because you're driving an expensive car, which means that you're probably making really good money to afford this car.
Or that you just spend all your money on the car, you don't have any money. I want to see what you got in the bank.
Yeah, well, they're gonna think that you have a lot of money.
Absolutely.
Bought this car.
So what I like to say is, like, most truck drivers probably don't have a 600 horsepower car. Maybe they have 2 or 3 cars that total 600 horsepower, or maybe they've got a truck, an 18-wheeler. If they're unoperated, their truck is 600 horsepower. And the last one is, I guess, 6 inches below the waist.
Woo.
I mean, honestly, I'm pretty sure there's no statistic on whether truck driver, the average manhood of a truck driver, or whatever.
Well, I think if you go by what statistics say the average length is, and I don't really know. I think the average length is in that 6-inch range.
Now let's Google it real quick.
But I'm thinking they say that.
Now see, that's probably like the bare minimum though. I mean, like, 6 inches. I mean, most when you say 6 inches, they probably look at you like, nah, I'm gonna need a little bit more than that. But but that's just saying, hey, if you've got at least 6 inches, you might be able to get in the playground,
right? Ballpark or something.
So I guess, obviously, 6-pack, that can be genetics, but it can also be on you also as far as working out. I mean, nothing you can really do about what your manhood is below the waist, or how tall you are. But as far as like having a 600 horsepower car, 6 income figure, and then 6 months for a last relationship, So it's possible, but
so you take you're taking out of the 6 items, you're taking roughly, I'm assuming, half of them, or maybe 4 out of 6 that you can control.
Right.
Height, length, you have no control over.
I guess you wear some shoes with some heels on.
Yeah, until you take them off.
But yeah, but I mean, like you said, those are just the criteria for what the red pill community, alpha male, what is a high value man according to those 6 categories. Again, that's not saying that if you don't have those things that you're not a high value man at all, or you can't get a woman. It's just saying the more of those things you have, the higher value man that you are, the more attractive that you're going to be to a larger, I guess, group of women. But yeah, so I mean, I think it's possible for a truck driver to meet that criteria. Is it likely on average? No, absolutely not. But it is possible, Well, we're gonna stop here and get some go-go juice. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Smooth Operator channel. So like, comment, subscribe, and we'll holler you later.